Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Now we will show you another situation, very different that we show you before. Now we are in the period inside the gap. The gap period is the period that we do not have more flowers in our locations for the bees flying and collect nectar and pollen, natural food. And then we need to handling these hives, we need to keep them with carefully for do not lose these hives. We are in the season that the bee eaters, birds, is starting to attack the hives in all locations. And we are bringing the hives from different locations and add under the big shades under the trees for starting to handling, for starting to feeding, and show to you how to proceed the cares for the hives in this period of gap. And we have another problem for adding the gap period without flowers. We are starting the summer season. We are in July and we have only 2 months after harvest the summer honey from 20 different locations. And now we are here at the north side of the Emirate of Fujairah, bring the hives from the production apiaries for handling easily. And we will share with you the details how to keep the hives in this season. We have here hives that we bring from different locations. We are with position under a big tree, enjoying the shade, and we will open for explain to you some details. Please. remove, yes. When we are in the harvest season, in the period with a lot of flowers, the swarms that are inside the hives will grow, they will bring food, nectar for producing honey, and the box will be with 10 frames as the standard. But after the harvest, the bees will decrease the population of the adult bees, and the queen bee started to decrease the quantity of eggs that she lays per day. And we have here a small swarm. This is our reality in this gap season. This swarm, when we already harvest, we join the hives in the apiaries and produce these hives with 5 frames. If we did not this action, we will have a problem. The swarms will be very, very weak and they will naturally die. That's why in the apiary, when we harvest, the next week after harvest, we will start to join all hives and transforming only the hives with 5 frames. We remove the other 5 frames. We will stay only with 5 wax combs here inside. Why we are making this action in the field for the gap period? Because here in our country we have a big pest which name is wax moth. Wax moth is a small butterfly that eats the bee bread, the pollen on the combs, and mainly the wax. If we stay with 10 frames with the wax comb already built before, without the cover with the bees, because the population of the adult bees is very low, the wax moth will come and the females of the butterfly will lay eggs on the combs, on the wax, and is starting to create some larvae that will start to eating the wax, and it's very common. That's why we remove the 5 frames inside. We storage in our cold chamber in our honey establishment for using for the next season, and now we are sure that the bees have conditions to cover the 5 frames only, and the wax moth will not come for producing the infestation and eating our wax. This is the first procedure that we need to do after join the hives. But the first action is join the hives. 2 hives we will change from only 1. And after this, we remove 5 frames and storage in a cold chamber with a temperature around 7 degrees, and we will have the wax combs for the next season. If we started to work and preparing the hives for the gap period in the summer season with high temperature, outside the hive, we do not need to protect the hives. We do not have to have any care here. But if we proceed this kind of action for the period without flowers after the cedar season and after we harvest the cedar honey, entering on fall and winter season, we need to protect this small swarm. We need to use a separator, a wood separator, for block from the 5 frame the gap, the empty side of the hive, and the bees will get conditions to have a good temperature produced only in this side of the hive. If we do not use this kind of protection, the bees will produce heat from this side, eating honey or syrup or nectar, and the heat will be lost for this empty side of the hive. We have, if I do not have conditions to produce this separator, we can use a poncho. A poncho is a plastic or another material for block with the same efficiency the heat for stay in this position. This is the correct position for I put and installing the poncho. This is very important. The bees will stay with the heat here because they need to have a temperature between 30 until 35 degrees for promote the growth of the brood. And if I do not use this kind of tool, I will have a problem, of course, mainly on the winter, that the temperatures are low than we have on the summer. This is the first action after joining the hives. But we are on the summer and it is not necessary. Close. We will do now for show you how to join 2 weeks hives. This is the first action that we need to do after to harvest the honey. If not, the bees will be very weak and they will die. That's why we join the hives. And you will see the senior beekeeper, Daniel, doing it and how to proceed. We have only some details. First, we need to bring a third box that do not belong to this hive and the other hive. Can you show, please? An empty hive. After the new cover, a different cover that not belongs to this hive and the other hive. We need to be that the bees will be confused when you join both swarms, and we will show you how to proceed. Another detail is it's not necessary to search for finding the queen bee, because this is a normal swarms. But if we have a values genetic material in one hive or another one, we need first to join to find the queen bee that belongs to this swarm that is not values with not value genetic material for join. Then in our case we do not need to find the queen bees because are normal swarms. But if we had in one hive or another hive a very valued genetic material, of course we need to find the queen bee that we will not use it and stay during the join action only with the values queen bee. Go ahead. Step 1. Remove the original place of the hives and put the third box on that place. Second step, remove the first swarm and put the bees inside the new box. Step 3, put the old hives far from the action because the bees will feel the smell of their house and they will try to enter inside. Step 4, open the other hive. Step 5, transfer the frames and the bees for the new hive. Step 7, put the hives, the new hive, in the middle position between the both hives that we joined before. Cover. And feed. After we join the hives, transport the hives for a safety place for no have attack of the birds. After we installing the hives under a shade, a good shade for crossing the summer season, it's time for feeding the hives. And for feeding we are using the hard syrup, not soft syrup. Why not? Because soft syrups, for example, 50% of sugar, 50% of water, will bring to the queen bee a disposition. It will be a factor for stimulation of laying eggs, and we do not need this. We need only to feed the hives, for the bees will not die without any energetic source inside. And we have two main easy ways for feeding the hives. The first one is the jar. This hive, we have a roll on the top where we can add a jar, and on the lid of the jar, we have some rolls inside. And when you put in the reverse on the top of the hive, the bees inside can eat and remove the syrup. This is very, very easy. We have another kind of drinkers. Collective drinkers, we have another individual drinkers, as the little drinker, the top drinker, but this is very easy. And if I do not have resource for having this kind of cover, this kind of jar, we can put directly the syrup inside the cells of the wax comb already built, as Danielle will show you. Danielle will show you how to put the syrup inside the cells in both sides, and after he will open the hive and introduce this frame with food inside for the bees eating. Go ahead. I hope you like it. This episode where we shared with you about how to handling the hives between the harvest period. Thank you very much. See you soon.